All right, everyone. This is something that's breaking right now, and I want to share it with all of you because I know I talked about it a little bit during the live stream. So yes, it's Kit Cabello without his blazer and his professional suit on. Because let's face it, folks, sometimes I got to take a break. And here we are. This is an updated news about the anti-Erdogan protests that are happening in Turkey, and it turns out the people of Turkey have an unsung hero, an ally in which will be joining them in the fight for freedom. You know him, you love him. He is a friend to us all and has been a staple amongst pop culture and entertainment. Pikachu. And yes, I want everyone to understand that it's not just this isn't anything that's too funny, but it's rather something that's standing out because it's taking the internet by storm. So Pikachu, welcome. This is just another angle of Pikachu. This is before things seem to be getting out of hand. Pikachu joining the fight against Erdogan. Now, there's been a lot of protests going on here, but before anybody else says anything else, I just want to share these hilarious video, or at least not hilarious, but rather the humor behind this is that maybe this was getting more attention to the protests that are happening in Turkey. I want to remove this and bring up another angle. This is something I pulled up during the earlier part of the day when our show goes live at 9 a.m. Central. There's Pikachu and, well, everyone else running away from the authorities that seem to be cracking down heavily on the protesters. So while, everyone is right now sharing this and saying, damn, our boy Pikachu has showed up, it's good to see Pikachu out there in the fight, but there's more reasons why things are happening as they are. So I want to pull up this article or this video from the BBC and share it with all of you. So let's play it.
Tonight, this is growing. The biggest street protest here in Turkey in more than a decade after the arrest of Ekrem İmamoğlu, the mayor of Istanbul, who they believe was jailed just because he is President Erdogan's main political rival. It is galvanizing the side of Turkey that feels stifled by President Erdogan's authoritarian rule. And they say they are not going to leave these streets until İmamoğlu is out of jail and Erdogan is out of power. What is the Turkey that you want?
Democracy, like pure democracy, as everyone wants. Nothing more, nothing else. I just want to live my life. I mean, everyone else thinks the same. I mean, no one wants to be here. Everyone wants to be at their home. But here we are just trying to bring democracy back.
Now, the reason why I did play this video, because as it stands right now, for everybody that is watching this, that same reporter who has been covering the protests, well, he was arrested and deported from Turkey after covering the protests. So the BBC correspondent Mark Lowen has been arrested and deported from Turkey, where he was reporting on the country's largest anti-government protests in years in an incident described by the corporation as extremely troubling. Troubling indeed. The broadcaster said Lowen had been arrested in Istanbul on Wednesday, having been there for several days to cover the protests, which were prompted by the arrest of last week of the mayor of Istanbul, Ekrem İmamoğlu. The BBC said in a statement this morning, Turkish authorities deported BBC News correspondent Mark Lowen from Istanbul, having taken him from his hotel the previous day and detained him for 17 hours. Mark Lowen was in Turkey to report on the recent protests. He has been told he was deported for being a threat to public order. Now, playing that video, it's abundantly clear he was not a threat to anybody. And even pulling this up here, too, because apparently this is getting more attention, and everyone should be sharing this on social media. I guess here's hoping that Pikachu can evade authorities as well. Who's that protester? It's Pikachu. A demonstrator in a Pikachu costume joined thousands of protesters who took to the streets to express outrage over the arrest of Istanbul's mayor, who is President Erdogan's, or at least the current President Erdogan's biggest political rival. The Pokemon-themed activist was seen marching and then later fleeing when police officers and water cannons rushed in to disperse the crowd. So that's this image right here, where, again, here is hoping that everyone is safe and no one got hurt. But the fact that Turkey's authorities are now cracking down on foreign reporters and having them deported sets a very dangerous precedent, and also calls into question what's going to happen to all these protesters, because they're not going away anytime soon. I want to pull up this video here, because this is the size of the protests that are taking place in Turkey right now.
Bir tarih yazıyorsunuz. 19 Mart 2025, 20 Mart, 21 Mart, 22 Mart, kişi, 1 milyon kişiyi zorlayan rakamlarla bir meydanda toplanmak hem de toplantı yasalarına rağmen, engellemelere rağmen, toplu ulaşımın, köprülerin kapanmasına rağmen, inançla.
Now, just once again, everyone, probably maybe this is what's getting all the attention now as everyone's talking about the Pikachu joining the fight. As it stands right now, at least according to this report from the New York Post, nearly 1,900 people have been arrested so far, including that reporter whose video, who's from the BBC, was also arrested and deported. The arrest of the mayor, Ikram Ighamul, last week has sparked national outcry, and he has denied the charges of corruption that were levied against him after he was named the presidential candidate for the Republic People's Party for the 2028 election cycle, challenging again the current President Erdogan of Turkey. The protesters maintained that his arrest was politically motivated, but Erdogan slammed the demonstrators as evil agents who are disturbing the peace. When you're somebody that's cracking down on protesters and you're telling them they don't have the right to assemble, protest, or even challenge authorities, it doesn't put you in a good light. Turkey has begun a major crackdown on the demonstrators, with officials also deporting BBC reporter Mark Lowen on Thursday following his on-the-ground coverage of the unrest in Istanbul. Turkish officials accuse Lowen of being a threat to public order. Him interviewing people is not a threat to public order. Protesters protesting isn't a threat to public order. It's a right to assemble. Now, I understand there's a big difference between Turkey and the United States, but still, nonetheless, the people, the voices do matter, because how can you be an effective government if you're not going to listen to the will of the people? But then again, it's a long, sad history of humanity. Again, they took him into custody on Wednesday and preparing him for deportation 17 hours later. To be detained and deported from a country where I previously lived for 5 years and for which I have such affection has been extremely distressing, Lowen told the BBC. Press freedom and impartial reporting are fundamental to any democracy, which I agree wholeheartedly. That should not have happened to him, and the protesters should not be being watered down and being pushed around. And hey, lay off a Pikachu, because our boy will step up. The CEO of the BBC's news department condemned Lowen's deportation and said the move was a troubling sign of what's happening in Turkey. Mark is a very experienced correspondent with deep knowledge of Turkey, and no journalist should face this kind of treatment simply for doing their job. We will continue to report impartially and fairly on the events of Turkey. Along with Lowen, 7 Turkish reporters have also been arrested while covering the protests, as well as a photojournalist for the French news agency Agence France Presse. Turkish Interior Minister Al Yakari said 1,878 people have been arrested since the protests began last Wednesday, with only 489 released so far. They should not be arrested at all. They have the right to assemble and a right to protest and a right for free speech. But this is setting a dangerous precedent, and I am very concerned, and I think all of us should be concerned of overall what's going to happen the day after tomorrow, because perhaps whoever this protester was knew what they were doing by having the ability and maybe the courage of putting on such a high-profile target. I'm willing to bet that the police that are chasing them are probably singling him out. I hope that's not the case. But it's gaining more attention, and while everyone is making memes and AI art, it is important for us to understand the overall future of what lies in store for Turkey's elections, especially when you have the sitting current president arresting his political rival. Now, one other thing here, too, I want to pull up here. This is a continuation from the article from The Guardian. All forms of media are under scrutiny in Turkey, and popular apps such as Instagram, WhatsApp, and YouTube have faced restrictions in recent weeks. Some prominent accounts on X have also been restricted. The Turkish government retains significant power over social media content under laws passed in 2022. Nothing like Big Brother watching you. On Thursday, the broadcasting watchdog RT UK said it was imposing a 10-day broadcast ban on the opposition TV channel. That's never good. After claims of incitement regarding its coverage of the protests. Erdogan has described the protests as a movement of violence, but while there have been some clashes, they have been largely peaceful. Turkey is ranked 158th of 180 countries and territories in an index World of Press Freedom that Reporters Without Borders compiled last year. The lowly ranking was a result of the imprisonment of journalists, online censorship, and the government's control of the judiciary. The RSF representative of Turkey condemned Lowen's 17-hour detention. This professional journalist and specialist on Turkey, where he lived for 5 years, was accused of being a threat to public order for covering the protests in Istanbul. Controversial statement here, but a journalist is supposed to cover protests. The journalist is supposed to cover newsworthy events and inform not only, the viewers of the news channel, but hey, we live in a day and age where everything is connected together in the internet, and everyone's going to want to know what's going on. The article also reiterates how the French photojournalist was also arrested, and it calls a very dangerous idea of what happens tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And while everyone seems to be sharing the images of Pikachu on the run, Pikachu, run, please run away from Team Rocket, it is starting to get very serious there as the crackdowns on journalists, reporters, protesters challenging Erdogan's administration. If we submit to authority and never speak out, all of us remain silent. A healthy democracy needs to have the press. A healthy democracy needs to have people to be critical of its leaders. I mean, that's how a democracy should function. When the leaders fail, the people should call them out. And it's a job of the media, journalists, to report these facts to the people, no matter what country they're in. Here's hoping that at least this crisis will pass, and that eventually that there will be some order put back in. But so long as you have the authorities cracking down on protesters, so long as you have authorities willing to put the jackboot on people's necks, the people have every right to speak out. The people have every right to use their fundamental right to protest and challenge. What happened to this journalist and to everyone else that's been detained is inexcusable. It is unjust. And it's the social responsibility of everyone in independent media and media as a whole to call for their immediate release, because the public has a right to know. Please take good care of yourselves and each other, and let us all do what we can to build a better future. Peace, everyone.